Yo, my people, it's your boy, and today we're watching why the UFC is basically a cartel. A cartel, I have not heard it before. I've never heard anybody call the UFC the cartel, but I've heard them call it a monopoly, where they control everything. You know what I'm saying? They have the whole business structure and they control everything. But a cartel, I haven't heard before, so it's
We
an
all know
interesting
the
claim, and
UFC
let's see
underpays
what he thinks.
fighters, especially starting contracts on 10,000 to show, 10,000 to win.
The way I think about this one is, and it's even controversial, right? So some people say you can't compare the UFC to the NFL or the NBA. Some people say you cannot do that. Because if you think about it, right, the UFC is the top of MMA. It's the top. It's the absolute pinnacle of MMA. The absolute pinnacle of basketball or football is NBA and NFL. If you make it in the NFL or NBA, brother, you're good. You're set. Millions of dollars set. You make it to the UFC, the pinnacle of MMA, the top of the top. You're getting 10,000 a show or and 10,000 to win. So, bro, you're getting 20,000 max. And like, you know what I'm saying? It gets you thinking like, is this the top or is this not the top of MMA? Right? Like, you know what I mean? And some people say you can't compare it because the UFC MMA is a new sport. It's not like basketball and what's it called? It's not like basketball. It's not like football. You know what I'm saying? You have a whole college program and people coming in and recruits and everything like that. So that's the whole structure. The MMA they say is pretty new, so you can't even just, you know what I'm saying, compare them. It's not very comparable, but you know what I'm saying. It gets you thinking. The UFC I think should be compared more to boxing than like, you know what I'm saying, the NFL or NBA. But at the same time, man, you know what I'm saying, $10,000. If you lose, that's $10,000. So you come to the UFC, you know what I'm saying, you work hard, you train at the top level for what, couple months, 2 3 months, whatever. You do a six week camp, you know what I'm saying, 8 week camp, everything like that, and you come and you get 10,000, and you gotta pay your coaches, you gotta pay your
But have
taxes,
you ever
and
really
it's
asked
very tough,
yourself
bro.
why? Maybe they just don't have enough money. For example, at UFC,
I also think that's the main thing that pisses the people off more is the fact that they're making so much money and they're not giving them enough type of thing. Like they're making so much money and they're not giving them. It's not like they don't have the money or you know what I'm saying, they give them. It's not like women's football, for example, right? Like they obviously want to give the women more money, but they're not making enough money. These guys are making the money, but they're not getting the money which they're making, which is different in the NBA and the NFL, bro. I think they have a good percentage over there compared to the UFC
306,
for
the
sure.
worst floor seat cost was $12,000. One seat, $12,000. That means one chair was worth more than a fighter who showed up, fought, and lost. So why is this happening? One short, one long. The short answer, they don't need to pay more. The long answer, let's break it down. In the 2000s, MMA wasn't just the UFC. There was real competition like Pride in Japan, Strikeforce in the US, WEC, or Elite XC. If you were a fighter back then, you had options. And because you had options, the UFC had to pay more. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't a monopoly. But instead of fighting competition, they did what billionaires always do.
They
They
bought it.
bought the
They bought it.
competition. Pride bought and shut down. Strikeforce
Oh, yeah.
bought and absorbed. WEC gone. Elite XC collapsed, and the UFC picked up the pieces. One by one, the options disappeared, and when the dust settled, only Bellator was left standing. At first, Bellator was a solid competitor. They picked up whatever the UFC didn't want anymore, like Rampage Jackson and Chael Sonnen. They had few solid names like Are You Not Entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Patricio Pitbull, Michael Venom Page, Douglas Lima, Shlemenko, and others. Bellator wasn't the UFC, but it was real. It kept some pressure on the system. Until it didn't. Over time, Bellator fell apart. Bad business, bad matchmaking, bad leadership. And while Bellator crumbled, the UFC kept rising. The 2010s were the years of McGregor. Massive fights, massive pay-per-views. By the mid
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. If you look at the history of the UFC, man, McGregor was probably that factor that catapulted the sport to another level, man. Like, he's probably the guy you look at and you say, this is when the sport became like legit, like mainstream. Like the UFC, you could tell your buddy like, because back in the day, I think like boxing, you probably, you know what I'm saying, say, oh, did you watch the Mike Tyson fight? That's something very common. But like UFC early days, where you couldn't, you know what I'm saying, tell the guy, oh, did you watch the Anderson Silva fight? Like, bro, nobody knows what that is, right? Respectfully, McGregor comes around though. Yo, did you watch the Conor fight? See what I'm saying? Everybody knows about that. So, bro, Conor is big for the UFC. It's not even, you can't even downplay any of his like work. You know what I'm saying? As a guy, everything like that, you can say whatever of his character. But bro, for the
2010s, the
UFC, he
UFC
was
wasn't
big,
just
man.
the biggest promotion. It was the fight game. Everything else, just leftovers. Once the competition was gone, everything changed. The UFC didn't have to fight for talent anymore. They owned the talent. If you were a fighter, you had two choices: sign with the UFC or fade into obscurity. Bellator tried to compete for a while, but it never reached the same level. And now Bellator is gone too, bought by the PFL, another so-called option off the table. The UFC became the gatekeeper to fame, to money, to legacy, and when you control everything, you control the prices too. Now, yes, if you're a big name, you're probably getting paid. Adesanya, John Jones, or Paddy Pimblett, you're bringing eyeballs, you're moving numbers, you're valuable. And for those guys, the UFC cuts bigger checks. As they should. But for the rest, for the guys trying to break through, the starting pay is the same garbage it's been for over a decade. 10 and 10, since at least 2010. And the $50,000 bonus, same as it was back in the Brock Lesnar days. Meanwhile,
that's one thing you gotta think about, bro. Prices in life have changed since 2010, bro. What do you mean you pay the still, like, what do you mean you pay that amount? Imagine minimum wage was stuck at what it was stuck at 2010, man. You know what I mean? And I think it's very smart to compare this stuff to minimum wage, bro. What was the minimum wage? I'm in Canada right now, so let's see what Canada's saying. What was minimum wage in Ontario 2010? $10 an hour. Right now it's $17 an hour. So that's almost like, yeah, that's a big jump, bro. I'm saying that's almost doubled, bro. So like, we're talking in real life too, man. Come on, bro. 10,000 in 2010 is not like $10,000 now, bro. Inflation, just like life in general, bro. Like, life's changed, man. So that alone, bro, like, you know what I'm saying, like, look, you could sit here and disagree. They gotta pay their fighters more, everything like that. So, but you gotta be balanced, right? I feel like that for sure has to be adjusted for. You know what I'm saying? The inflation, bro. Like, it gotta be at least now at 15, 16, 17. Just to adjust for, you know what I'm saying, the change from 2010 to now, bro. Because, bro, if you're paying the same amount, like, you're paying less now than
while
you're
the
paying 2010, which is bad.
UFC's
bad,
business exploded. The pay-per-view prices went up. The gate numbers tripled. And Dana White can't stop talking about how he's breaking all the gate records.
The gate was 11.5 million. UFC now holds number 1, 2, and 3 highest gate record of all time at the Kaseya Center.
The UFC is making 10 times what they were in 2010. But fighters at the bottom, they're stuck at 10 and 10. Maybe you can live with the fact that the UFC is a business first. But the one thing that shouldn't slip through the cracks is the starting contract. 10 plus 10 is disgusting.
I think so too. Like you said, it's a business. They're trying to make money. They own everything. They don't have to pay. And again, they're using that to their full advantage. They don't have to pay, so, you know what I'm saying? They're not paying. They're not changing 10 out of 10. But, bro, I think now its minimum has to be 15, 16, 17. If it's not 20, bro. But, I mean, yeah, 10 and 10 is horror, bro. Horror. How much times are you fighting, Gary? Realistically. Let's deep this, though, in real numbers. UFC, how much times are you fighting? Because, bro, again, UFC, it's not like you can come around and say, I'm going to fight 10 times a year. No, bro. But even if you fight 10 times a year, yeah? To make 100,000 in UFC, okay? So to make $100,000, all right? How much would you say? 80,000 or 100,000? Let's just say 80,000. Okay, 80,000 is the average minimum wage. I'm saying the average wage around the country. You know what I'm saying? Something like 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever. 80,000. Okay, let's just say you want to make 80,000. This is by the way before paying your coaches, so that's like 30% before paying your gym. All of these things, by the way. You gotta fight 4 times and you gotta win 4 times in the UFC to make 80,000 a year, bro. Obviously, by that point, you know what I'm saying, they might give you, I don't know how fast they give you, you know what I'm saying, the other, you know what I'm saying, different types of contracts. Because this is the starter. I don't know if you fight on the starter a couple times or you only fight on the starter 1 time. If they let you fight on the starter contract for like 4 or 5 fights, that's cooked, bro. Because that means you have to fight 4 times to make 80,000 a year. That's like, you know what I'm saying, the average before paying your coaches, everything like that. You're probably taking home like 50, 40, 30,000, bro. You know what I mean? And that's if you win 4 times. If you lose 4 times, you're probably gonna get cut and it's cooked for you. Or you're gonna make 40,000. Bro, it's like, yeah, this 10,000 just gotta go. I think it's very simple, bro. The numbers just don't add up.
It's criminal.
It's not going. It's not going. Especially if they let you fight on the 10,000 a couple times. If it's 10 and 10 for the first like
Do the
5,
math.
6, 7,
You
5,
fight for
career, that's
10
tough,
and
bro.
10. You lose. You only get 10. You pay taxes. Now you're at 7. You pay your trainer and your manager. You're left with 4, maybe 5. $4,000 for months of training. Weight cuts, brain damage. Honestly, it's literally...
When you put it like that, that's crazy. You can make $4,000 a month doing anything, bro. When you put it like that, that's crazy, bro. Like genuinely. How much are you getting as a full-time McDonald's worker? A full-time McDonald's worker month salary. What are we saying? Cut. I want to say it's saying 2 to 3,000. Whatever, $2 to $3,000 at $17 an hour. That's Canadian too, so that's even probably less than US. So, bro, all I know is $4,000, and that's a couple months. That's not even a month trading. You got to deep it too. I'm bugging. So the 1 month at McDonald's gets you $2,000 a month, right? Let's just say, okay, $2,000 a month for 1 month at McDonald's. You're trading probably for 2 months to 3 months type of thing. You're doing a 6-week camp, 8-week camp minimum. So that alone, bro, you're getting the same amount of money as a minimum full-time worker, McDonald's worker, bro. As a UFC fighter, not as any MMA, not just any MMA organization, blah, blah, blah. UFC fighter, and you're risking, you know what I'm saying, injuries, blah, 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 food. Bro, it's like, bro.
It's better to beg on the
It
street than...
just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. It's bad. It's bad. And the fact that, bro, the company's making so much money, right? Like the fact that they've grown so
to
much
lose
and
a
they haven't
UFC
changed that
fight.
alone.
It's not just about low pay. It's about control. The UFC controls everything. Who you fight, when you fight, what you get paid, and what sponsors you're allowed to have. You want to wear your own sponsor in the cage? Nope. Only UFC approved logos. And guess who gets the check? Not you. Remember when fighters could earn real sponsor money? 5 figures, 6 figures. Now they get a tiered bonus based on how many UFC fights they've had. And it's not just sponsors. The UFC controls pay-per-view money too. You'd think if you're a champion, you got, let's say, $2 per pay-per-view buy, and your fight sells 1 million pay-per-views, $2 million, right? Nope. Here's how it actually works. From 0 to 500,000 buys, you only get $1 per buy. From 500,000 to 750,000, you get $1.50. Only after that, from 750 to 1 million, you get $2 per buy. So instead of getting $2 million, you get $1,375,000. So even if...
Oh, they're even doing that one. Yeah, man. If
you sell out the arena, you're still getting scaled percentages like it's a phone data plan. And here's the thing. You can't complain. You can't speak out, because if you do, you might never get booked.
I mean, Francis is a good example, but it's also not a good example because of how, you know what I'm saying, things have turned out with the PFL and everything like that. But yeah, man. Francis is an example, bro. A champion, heavyweight champion of the world. Who started talking that out, and yeah, man. You know what I'm saying, the UFC, they got it, bro.
This isn't just about fighter pay, or sponsorships, or contracts. It's about how the business is structured. The UFC isn't just a fight promotion. It's the center of the MMA world. Now, if you want to be seen as the best, you fight in the UFC. Simple as that. The UFC decides who gets signed, who gets pushed, who gets paid. You don't negotiate like a free agent. You accept what's on the table or you don't fight. And most fighters can't afford to walk away because there's nowhere else to go. That's just what happens when one company becomes the market. The UFC built that dominance. They earned it, but it also means they don't have to share much.
Today, I'm working with Topps and giving away a prize pack of trading cards worth over $5,000.
Maybe.
Dana? I mean, bro. What do you guys think, chat? What do you guys think, bro? What are you thinking? I think for me, bro, I love the UFC, bro. Like, bro, I love MMA. I love the UFC. They've probably grown, like, that's one thing also, bro. You gotta give them props, because why does every other MMA organization fumble? You know what I'm saying? Why is every other MMA organization not great, bro? It's because, bro, you know what I'm saying, they weren't ran properly, and the UFC were ran properly all throughout the whole thing. And obviously, you know what I'm saying, people like Conor and everything like that, probably, you know what I'm saying, it made the UFC who they are today. But, bro, the bottom line is, man, know what I'm saying? As much as we love the UFC, as much as we watch every event, bro, everything like that, man, you gotta pay your fighters better, especially that starter contract. Like, put it into perspective, because when they say 10 and 10, it doesn't sound as bad. Like, you're coming in $20,000 to fight, okay, that's calm. But when they put it into perspective of the months of training, if you lose, you only get 10,000, bro. You know what I mean? And yeah, like, one person loses, one person wins. So it's, you know what I'm saying? And you're in the UFC, and if you know what I'm saying, you lose too much, you get cut. But if you don't fight enough, you know what I'm saying, you're trying to keep the record, you get cut, bro. It's like, it's a whole lot of just so it's so much control. That's the problem with the monopoly. You know what I mean? It's cooked. But bro, the main thing I think they gotta focus on is that 10,000. Get that up, bro. Get that up to 15, 20 minimum, bro. You know what I mean? And go from there. But bro, I mean, yeah, UFC's it's very entertaining, man. But bro, you know what I'm saying? I'm not liking the way they're running things. But yeah, chat. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think about the UFC and how much they're paying the fighters. Let me know if you guys think it's fair and it's, you know what I'm saying, it's the part of it's business, right? It's business, and if you don't want to fight for the UFC, you can go somewhere else, like he said. Or if you think, you know what I'm saying, they're a scam company, not a scam company, but yeah, but they're just a very greedy company who, you know what I'm saying, don't pay their fighters enough, and they deserve to get sued. And something needs to happen legally. But yeah, chat, let me know. It's been a great video. I'm gonna see y'all later. Peace.